Hi, this is Andrew Bridgewater, Chartered Psychologist, with episode 47 of the Mood and Food podcast. And in this week's episode, I'm going to focus more on mood than food. And I'm going to pick up a particular theme that's been really quite significant around, particularly in the UK. And that's been the death of the Queen in the UK, who's been the head of state, the monarch, for over 70 years. And for many people, me too, have been surprised by the extent of our feelings around this time. Yes, the Queen was old. She was 96 years old, and clearly it was only a matter of time before she died. But she'd been in that position as monarch all of my life and all of many people's lives. Anybody who's older than 70 would remember George VI, but only just. And most of us personally never met or knew the Queen, but she was a constant in our lives. And I want to just reflect on the way many of us have been feeling. There's been a sense of grieving, a sense of loss, and many of the symptoms of grief are very similar to those of depression. And I think it's quite interesting to just reflect back on that. And what I wanted to really pick up on here is that our feelings are a direct reflection of our thinking and not our circumstances. So it wasn't the death of the Queen that's caused us to feel the way we have. It's the thinking that we have around that. And that's not a trivial point. In fact, Shakespeare picks it up in Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 2. There's nothing good or bad, only thinking makes it so. So what was coming up for us in terms of our feelings was the direct result of our own thinking. And what happens here is we can almost see this as what psychologists call the outside-in illusion. It always looks as though the world out there is causing the way we feel. But we're actually living in the feeling of our thinking moment to moment, not the feeling of our circumstances. So bringing that back around to the death of the Queen, it wasn't the external situation, the death of the Queen, that was causing us to feel that way. There was some thinking that we were having around that, which was causing our feelings. Now, I don't mean to be in any way disrespectful about the death of the monarch, and particularly the loss that her family and many who've known her are feeling. But I just think it's worth reflecting on, for those of us who didn't know her personally, why we might have been experiencing some quite strange feelings. And for many of us, those were maybe similar to those we experienced when Diana died in August 1997, and there was a kind of outpouring of grief in the UK around that. So when we deeply see that we don't have to believe our own thinking anymore, and we can recognise it for what it is, that can be very powerful. Now, it's good to live with feelings, it's good to experience feelings, but it's also good to be able to be clear that we don't need to be hijacked by our thinking and therefore the feelings that come alongside it. And recognising that thinking and feeling are two sides of the same coin in the human experience is a really valuable insight, and one that I've found incredibly helpful. So I'd just like you to reflect on that a little bit. We're always living in the feeling of our thinking, never our circumstances, whatever it might look like. And this is what we call the outside-in illusion. And once you see how the magic trick works, it ceases to be so compelling. And this is why the three principles understanding is such a powerful way of dissolving severe stress, anxiety and depression naturally, without having to use techniques or pills. And I say a lot more about that in other episodes of the Mood and Food podcast, so do have a look out for some of those other episodes, particularly episode 31, where I talk with a BBC journalist about this. So I hope that's helpful. This is Andrew Bridgewater, Chartered Psychologist at thementalhealthcoach.net. Bye for now.